Saleh is also here with us. You know, you've been tracking all the developments that have been happening in the last, I think in the last 2 hours, there have been a lot of talking points through the day.
Been happening, Shivan. This is an important budget. A lot of emphasis is being laid upon, you know, one of the crucial issues that India at this moment is grappling with, and that is how to increase employment for the new graduates who are coming up. Because
and the opposition,
that's very important.
The opposition would have also found some very key points to go. They are going to be bringing those up.
True.
But as far as Viksit Bharat is concerned, as far as Viksit Bharat is concerned, I think they have really taken care of the middleman, of the middle class, and of course MSMEs as well, and the rural development, and that has been a lot on that as well. So that has been brought in.
That's indeed true, Shivan. There are many issues that we'll of course be discussing. But let's in fact first listen in to what Shashi Tharoor, the Congress Member of Parliament, has to say on the budget that's just been presented in Parliament.
I'm afraid it's an underwhelming budget. The government has simply not addressed a number of key issues. Manrega wasn't even mentioned. Health and education, no indication of any increase in the share of GDP allocated to these vital subjects. Nothing in the announcements about how to actually do anything about the income inequality in this country. More than 60% of our people have seen their incomes dropping in the last 10 years. What are they doing about that? Very little. I would say there's been very, very little to cheer about, and no wonder even the share markets, I gather, have reacted badly, as have ordinary people, except those in Bihar and Andhra Pradesh, perhaps, where the government, for their own political reasons, has satisfied 2 states. But there are 26 other states in the country whose people have no reason to be happy.
All right, so that, of course, was the assessment by Shashi Tharoor. He's, of course, a member of Parliament of the opposition. So you'd obviously expect the opposition to, of course, nitpick with some of the issues that have been, some of the things that have been presented in the budget. But there are also quite a few positives that people are weighing in on. And let me, in fact, of course, bring in Ms. Neeti Sharma, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Team Lease Digital. Ms. Sharma, one of the issues that is going to be talked about, especially in the startup sector, is the abolition of the angel investor tax. What's your reading on that?
I think it's a good move because startups do struggle, and profitability is key for any startup to actually get investment funding in the future as well. This will probably give them a little more leverage to do what they want to do. A lot of startups that we work with, we hire for. I guess it's going to support them to some extent. Of course, apart from this, what's also going to work for startups is, we are talking about talent, we're talking about apprenticeships, we're talking about internships, which is what the budget also touched upon. What is it that we can do to ensure that startup gets the right talent at the right cost? What are the capital investments that they can put in? What is it the ecosystem can actually help the startup? So one is, of course, the whole financial aspect, but the ecosystem creation is also going to become a big leverage for all startups. So that is something that we have to look on.
The issue that we were just talking about the creation of jobs, especially for young students who are passing out this moment for decades. Economists in India have been talking about demographic dividend, and the demographic dividend is here at this moment, and the youth in India want jobs. Do you think this budget has addressed to a certain extent, the job crisis that we are looking at?
I think it will help. Because like I said, that the youth is in, the population is obviously in the northern parts of the country, and our jobs are getting created largely in the western and the southern parts of our country. So I think that marrying where the talent is, where the youth is coming from, to getting where the jobs are, this budget is probably addressing it in some ways. Like I said, creating jobs in the manufacturing sector, providing internship schemes and subsidies to companies, and maybe some kind of a return to organizations who continue to take in more internships is great, because 5,000 rupees is good sum for any apprentice trainee to, get started from a career standpoint. We realize that a lot of kids actually drop out of schools and colleges purely because the cost of not working is a lot more than the cost of learning. And I think giving some sort of a apprentice stipend from the government or a subsidy to the employer will help, because then the employers can take in that many more trainees, that many more new kids who are passing out from schools and colleges, which, like I said, I think it's the right pathway. Would we be able to cover the volume? Maybe not immediately.
All right. Now, another very interesting thing which stands out from this budget is, how the new millennials and the new generation, of course, goes about saving their money. They invest a lot of their money in mutual funds. And what we are looking at is that the long-term capital gains tax has been increased from 10% to 12.5%. People from an earlier generation, like, for instance, from my father and before that, they stressed on the importance of investing in probably fixed deposits. But now the present generation does not do that. What do you think the government is actually messaging in terms of increasing that long-term capital gain tax by about 2.5%?
Yeah, I think that's a deterrent for the stock market investors for sure. And people will have to start moving their investments in some other areas, like maybe real estate, like you rightly said, fixed deposits, because the money was getting invested over the last 2 to 3 years very heavily only on the stock market. I guess the intent is also to shift investments in other areas as well. Because the 2.5% increase is going to come with a high impact on people who are only doing mutual fund, stock market investments. That's in my view is a deterrent. Maybe the idea is purely to diversify investments rather than just put it on the share market.
That's interesting. And also my last question to you is the middle class, of course, looks at, what income tax that they are likely to pay. This is the class that has its tax deducted at source. Do you think the new tax slabs, as they've been announced, addresses many of the concerns of the middle class in terms of some amount of money that they can save?
Some is the operative word, right? I think it will not move the needle for too many people, but I think the 0 to 3 years, the 0 to 3 lakhs, the 3 to 5 lakhs, those slabs will probably help the entry level workforce. The middle class who is just starting in is trying to make some sort of a decent money, and any amount of saving is good saving for people.
Right.
How this pans out, along with obviously the other taxes we pay, especially the GST and every product and goods, is something that we will have to see depending on how the whole economy
the devil, as they say, lies in the detail. We need to, of course, see as to how much we can actually save. But, the calculations that are coming out, according to the new tax slabs, the middle class can perhaps save about 17,500 rupees per annum. That's the number that's being put out. Thank you very much indeed, Ms. Sharma, for joining us and getting us that perspective there.
Thank you so much.